video for a series that we're going to be going through the Royal Conservatory Music Theory program. It's called Celebrate Theory, and this will be the level 1 instructional series. And I'm just going to share the screen so you can see where you can purchase this course. One sec, here it comes. You can actually get it right on the Royal Conservatory website. And this is what the book looks like, Celebrate Theory Level 1. The first part of this book is going to be going through just a bit of a review. All of the Celebration Series courses, as you start each new level, it actually does a Unit 1 review of what you learned in the previous course. So this review is from the preparatory course, which you would have already done pre-starting this one. So what we're going to do first is just kind of go through what you had done in that previous book. And to do so, I'm just going to share another screen here. I use a different program so that you can see the notation as we go. It's called Crescendo. And I find it works really, really well, especially for giving online music theory lessons as well. So the first thing that the book reviewed was it talked about what a grand staff was. And to have a grand staff, you're going to have a treble clef and a bass clef, and then you're going to have your bar lines beginning and end. But the bar line connects both the treble and the bass clef together, and then it uses a brace or a bracket at the beginning to again connect the treble and the bass clef together. Now on that grand staff, what they had discussed before is, let's say treble clef, that is middle C on the piano, and in the bass clef, this C right here is the exact same note. It's middle C on the piano. So they share that even though it's written on two different clefs. Anything going above the treble clef middle C is ascending on the keyboard or ascending in notation and pitch. And anything underneath that middle C is descending and the pitch is getting lower. The notes are getting lower on the keyboard or the pitch is lower on another instrument. Okay, so it just kind of reviewed really quickly your grand staff and what that is and how we use it, and it gave you a list of all the notes and their names on that page 4. They're asking you to review a scale. Previously, we've learned what tones and semitones are in a major scale and in a minor scale. So for this lesson, we're just going to quickly go over what a scale is. A scale is a group of 8 notes. To write the C major scale they gave you, you have to start on C, and then you go up by step, up 8 notes until you get to the following C, an octave higher. The one thing I find at teaching theory students is instead of spreading the notes out like I did all the way up to the very end of that line to end the staff, often I will see students come back and we will squish it right at the beginning here. And then we end up having a lot of music staff left, and we don't want that blank space. It looks a lot tidier to use that entire space up. Plus, you're going to be doing other things in the scale and marking in semitones and degrees of the scale, maybe putting triads on top. So we have to learn right now to give yourself some space and use that entire staff up. So I usually ask for that to be corrected in my lessons and spaced more. The other scale that they reviewed here is an A minor scale. So yeah, they start on the A and they go up your group of 8 notes. And again, I'm spreading it through the entire staff. Now, there's a few different types of minor scales, but at this grade level, we have not learned the harmonic or the melodic. So if you're writing an exam for this grade level, right now they've only taught you the minor in its natural form. And that's different than what you've learned in a higher grade level. Usually in a higher grade level, the 7th note is going to be raised, and you'll see a sharp there. But we won't see that in the natural form. In the minor's natural form, we omit that raised 7th, the raised leading note. So that's the review of the scales they give you at the beginning there. On page 5, they go into reviewing your triads. So you would have already learned that a triad, let's say I'm writing C major triad, it's a group of 3 notes. So if it's C major I'm writing, I start on C, then I skip a note and I go to E, and I skip a note and I go to G. So triads skip notes, every other note, until you get 3 notes, and that forms your triad. This, written in this way, is called a broken form. The other form that you've learned to write is the solid form, where you would stack them. C, E, and G is stacked, and that's a solid form triad. Another word for that is blocked. It's like building blocks and you're stacking the blocks. So you have your broken form and your solid form. On page 5, they also review the minor form. So if I want A minor triad, I'd start at A at the bottom, I'd skip the B, and I'd write C, skip the D, and then you write E. Again, that's the broken form. Or if I want the solid form or blocked form, I'd stack them on top of each other, making sure for A minor that A was on the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to clear that page. I'm going to stop the share here for the next review. I'm going to have to share a different page. For this, I think I'm just going to go to my whiteboard. So just give me a sec to switch over here. So on page 5, they're also going through notes and rests and what their values are. So one of the notes that we've learned first was, oh, that's not working here, I need a pen. Okay, make it bigger, is a whole note. A whole note, usually, let's say we're in 4/4 time, it had 4 beats. The equivalent to that, just let me draw a line. This is similar to what you're going to see in the book. The equivalent to the note is the rest. And when you're writing this, I'm using a mouse, so it's a little tricky to make it neat, but that's a whole rest. So that's the equivalent of its note, the whole note and the whole rest. The next rhythm down that you've learned is the half note. And let's actually just make that a little neater. The stems go off to the side. So I'm putting 2 half notes in the side because 2 half notes are needed to equal the same rhythmic value as 1 whole note. So we have 2 half rests. To draw a half rest, we're actually just going to sit that. It looks like an upside down top hat. We're going to sit that there. And again, you would need 2 half rests to equal the same as the above whole rest. So the next rhythm underneath that would be our quarter notes. The notes are going to be filled in. You're going to need 2 quarter notes to equal 1 half note. But if you want to find the equivalent to a whole note, we need to add another 2. So we actually need 4 quarter notes, and that would equal the same value as your whole note. To draw a quarter rest, we've learned this is their shape. So again, you need the equivalent of 4 quarter rests to equal a whole note. They break it down 1 step farther for this grade level into 1/8 notes. So there's 1/8 note. There are 2 1/8 notes in 1 quarter. If I wanted to find out how many were in a half, I would add that up a bit more. There was 4 1/8 notes in a half. And then we would double that. I'm just going to do short form here. I'm not going to draw the whole note in there. But there are actually 8 1/8 notes to equal the equivalent of 1 whole note. And drawing the 8th rest, they're going to have a little ball and then the flag. Right? So I'm going to need 4 of those to equal a half note, or 2 of them to equal 1 quarter rest. And then I would carry that on, and I would need to draw 8 in total. 8 1/8 rests equal the same as 1 whole rest. So this chart on your page 5 is really valuable because when you get in this book to page 9, they're going to ask you to add, what is a quarter rest plus a quarter rest? What does it equal? Well, if we look at your chart, 2 quarter rests will equal 1 half rest. So you would draw that half rest in. So this is a lot, it's very mathematical. So you'll have to really understand this chart and how many is needed to equal the same as equivalent notes or equivalent rests. So always refer back to that one, and I would commit it to memory. Great, so I'm going to stop that share. That takes you through the unit review for page 5. Now page 6, it moves you into your time signatures and does a little review for your 2/4 and your 4/4 time. So why don't we just share the crescendo notation page again? So we can look at that. So let's start with 4/4 time. So those numbers are really important. The top number 4 is going to indicate how many beats you're looking for in every measure. That's a measure. I'm just going to draw a bar line in. Between each of these bar lines is considered one measure or one bar. So in 4/4 time, I'm looking for 4 beats in each of those bars. So let's grab, let's say, quarter note. I would need to write in 4 of those in order to reach my 4 beats. Now, why quarter notes? Look at the bottom number. The bottom number is 4. That bottom number references what kind of note or what kind of rhythm is going to get the beat. So let's take it a little differently here. I'm going to draw 2 half notes in. Now that equals 4 quarter notes. Because if you look back on our chart on page 5, you remember that 2 quarter notes are in 1 half note. So I have 2 quarter notes and 2 quarter notes. I've got my 4 quarter notes for that 1 bar. Whole note. Back to the chart, you'll remember that 4 quarter notes equal the same as 1 whole note. So there's my 4 quarter note beats that I'm looking for. So let's take that one out. I'm just going to erase the quarters. And I want to change the time signature to 4 time, because that was the other time signature they reviewed. So looking at this one, the top number 2 indicates that I need 2 beats in every bar. What kind of beat? The bottom number is 4. So you're going to need 2 quarter notes for each bar. So I can write music using 2 quarter notes. I can write 1 half note in the bar because a half note has 2 quarter notes. I can't use a whole note because there's 4 quarter notes in that. But I can actually use a whole rest. No matter what your time signature, if you need to rest an entire bar, it's standard policy just to use a whole rest. You don't need to draw 2 quarter rests. That would be considered incorrect. You would draw a whole rest. If I had just one of the beats used though, and I need 1 more quarter beat because I'm looking for 2 quarter notes, in that case, I wouldn't use a whole rest because I've already used one of my beats. I would use a rest that made up the remainder amount of beats I was looking for. Okay, so those were the only 2 time signatures that this level 1, unit 1 review actually goes through. So we will leave it with those ones. I have one more thing I need to go through with you for this review. So I have to go back to crescendo. So we'll just switch over again and share. There it is. And I better just delete what we were doing there. On page 7, they do a unit review on repeated notes, if the notes identifying whether they move by step, or if you've actually skipped a note. And it's fairly easy to see. So I'm just going to move to quarter note again. Let's do, quarter note. If I'm moving by step, that means I would move to the very next letter name. That would be ascending by step. I'm going up, going from E to F. Going from E to the very next letter name, D, that would be going down by step. So I can go higher, I can go from F and descend by step to E, or I can do an F and ascend. Whoops, that was wrong. Pushing too quick. Ascend by step to the G. So these are samples of moving by step. The next one is really, really easy. It's repeated notes. So all you're looking for is the exact same letter name. Could be a G and a G, bass clef, a C, and you're going to another C, etc. It's just you're going to see the same letter name, and that would be a repeated note. The next one, early theory students sometimes miss, and it's the notes by skip. So an example would be going from E to G. Now that's a skip because F was the note we skipped. We skipped the space. We went from line to line. So because they left out the F, that's considered a skip. If I had a D and I went down by skip, I would be going to B. Why is that a skip? Because I missed C. So I missed that space note. I can do a skip on spaces. I can go from F to A, and it's a skip because I omitted the G in there. That G is missing. So those are examples of skipped notes. You're going to have to watch if they ask you to write it above or below, or identify if it's above or below. And then outside of that, in this first unit, you are basically writing in and identifying what the letter names are. And, you know, I could just quickly review for note recognition. Different people have different systems, but if I'm writing notes on every line in the treble clef, one sentence that helps a lot with identifying those line notes is taking the first letter from each word. For every good boy deserves fun. So that would be E, G, B, D, F. If I'm doing space notes, I'll just write them on the side here. The treble clef, it actually spells face. So you've got F-A-C-E. Memorizing those can really help in note identification in these early theory grades. Bass clef, if I'm doing lined notes, so I'll just draw a few of them in here. Sentence we like to use, just because we've been in the caribou era for some time and there's bears here. We do grizzly bears don't fight anymore. So it's G-B-D-F-A. Some people use, actually for the treble clef, one of my students came up with empty garbage before dad freaks. And the bass clef, a standard one, was just good boys deserve fun always, or good birds don't fly away. You really could make up anything on your own as well, as long as you had the right letters to start those sentences. And then the spaces for the bass clef is all cows eat grass. So A-C-E-G. I love hearing new sentence ideas. So in the comments, if any of you use something different, let me know. I'd love to hear from you and see how creative you guys can get, because I'm always looking for new ones to use for students. We vary them with different students just because different ones are retained a little bit better with different people. So yeah, let me know in the comments for that. But I think that takes you through what you need to do for the unit 1. So again, it's Celebrate Theory from Royal Conservatory of Music, and this is the level 1. Unit 1 review, which we've gone through a little more quickly than I will in the subsequent series, just because it was a review section. So thanks for joining me today. And if you like notating music, a great thing to do is to get this Crescendo program. It's a great music writing program, and it's really, really easy to navigate and use as well. So thanks very much for joining me.